Namaskar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asserted quite clearly that India's development cooperation with other countries, it does not come with any conditions, and it's not influenced by any political or commercial considerations. He also said that India's approach to development is mainly human-centric, and it wants to work for the welfare of humanity. So that's going to be in focus tonight on Newsnight. My name is Mark Lynn. Let's begin with the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mauritius Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth jointly inaugurate the new Supreme Court building of Mauritius. The Prime Minister says that India's principal development cooperation is respect for partners and says that our cooperation has no preconditions, terms the relationship between India and Mauritius as special and is destined to soar even higher in the coming years. Mauritius' Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth praises India's development assistance and says that it reflects the close ties of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. He also expresses gratitude for the medical help from India in the times of COVID. India says that disengagement process along the LAC has not yet been completed. The MEA says that India expects China to sincerely work together for the complete disengagement and de-escalation at the earliest, as agreed to by the special representatives, senior commanders of India and China, to meet in the near future. India slams Pakistan in the Kulbhushan Jadhav case, says that Pakistan's farcical attitude stands exposed. The MEA says that Pakistan violated the ICJ order and reiterates that India is committed to protecting the life of its citizen. India's fight against COVID-19 reaches an important milestone. More than 10,20,000 people have recovered from the virus. Recovery rate is up to 64.44%. The death rate is down to 2.21%, and 80% of COVID cases from just 50 districts now. The Union Science and Technology Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan, praises CSIR in the fight against COVID, says that CSIR developed several aids that were lacking at the beginning of the pandemic, and appreciates the efforts of the scientific community in aiding the medical fraternity. The Muslim Women's Rights Day to be celebrated tomorrow on the occasion of completion of 1 year of the law prohibiting instant triple talaq. Three central ministers to interact with Muslim women. The Information Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar says that triple talaq cases have reduced by up to 82%. Bihar flood situation is still grim. The number of flood-affected districts in the state increases to 14. More than 40 lakh people affected by the floods in many districts. The administration is engaged in relief and rescue operations. Assam sees some improvement in the flood situation. So let's begin with our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravind Jugnauth, they jointly inaugurated the new Supreme Court building in Mauritius through a video conference. And this building is the first India-assisted infrastructure project in Port Louis to be inaugurated after the COVID pandemic. The landmark project has been completed with a grant assistance of US dollars 28.12 million from the Government of India. In line with India's vision of SAGAR, which stands for Security and Growth for All in the region, the new Supreme Court building demonstrates, in fact, India's role as a reliable partner of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean region, as also India's steadfast commitment to strengthening future-oriented partnerships between the two countries.
India has always been a responsible nation, responding to the global call for assistance, especially at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic is spreading across the globe. India is helping countries in the collective fight against COVID-19, but at the same time has not reduced its committed development assistance for infrastructure projects. On Thursday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mauritius Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth jointly inaugurated the new building of the Supreme Court of Mauritius. The building has been constructed with Indian grant assistance and is India's first infrastructure project in the Mauritius capital city of Port Louis. Prime Minister Modi pointed out that India's development cooperation is based on mutual respect and has no conditions.
India's approach to development is mainly human-centric. We want to work for the welfare of humanity. History has taught us that in the name of development partnerships, nations were forced into dependence partnerships. It gave rise to colonial and imperial rule. It gave rise to global power blocks, and humanity suffered. Friends, India is making development partnerships that are marked by respect, diversity, care for the future, sustainable development.
Prime Minister said that India has been assisting countries from Afghanistan to Niger and from Nepal to Guyana. Prime Minister described the relationship between India and Mauritius as special and expressed the hope that it would further strengthen in the years to come. Prime Minister recalled how he first introduced India's Indian Ocean policy in Mauritius.
It was in Mauritius that I had first spoken about India's vision of Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. This is because Mauritius is at the heart of India's approach to the Indian Ocean region. And today, I want to add that Mauritius is also at the heart of India's approach to development partnerships.
Prime Minister of Mauritius also said that India's Indian Ocean outreach has added depth to the relations between the two nations. He expressed his sincere gratitude for India's help in the development of Mauritius.
Ever since Sri Modi ji became Prime Minister of India, the bond of friendship between our two countries has kept on strengthening. Sri Modi ji, हमारा देश, हमारी जनता आपके समर्थन के लिए आभारी है.
Prime Minister of Mauritius also appreciated India's assistance in the island nation's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
We also laud the boundless generosity and leadership of India, which, at the peak of the crisis, did not hesitate to assist countries, including Mauritius, and through Operation Sanjeevani, Mauritius benefited from critical amount of essential medicines, medical equipment, as well as Ayurvedic medicines.
Government of India committed a special economic package of $353 million to Mauritius in 2016 for 5 projects, under which the new Supreme Court is the first project to be completed. The project has been completed within the stipulated time and at a lower cost than anticipated. The 10-floor building is spread over an area of about 4,700 square meters and has a built-up area of 25,000 square meters. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister of Mauritius jointly launched Phase 1 of Metro and the new ENT hospital project in Mauritius in October 2019, also part of the special economic package. The Supreme Court building is a symbol of the abiding partnership between the two countries and also a sign of India's commitment to strengthen future partnerships in keeping with the policy of security and development in the Indian Ocean region. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
So let's put into context the Sagar mission, the initiative of the government, and that is security and growth for all in the region. security and growth for all in the region. That's what SAGAR stands for. And let's take a look at Mauritius, what India has given to Mauritius, a special package, an economic package of $353 million is the package, of which the Supreme Court building, the Metro Express project, and the ENT hospital, which has been completed, that is also part of this project, and one phase of the metro project is also completed. Social housing project with nearly 1,000 units is also on the anvil. Now, India is the largest development partner for Mauritius, and lines of credit also are worth $600 million at concessional terms. So this is what the situation is with Mauritius. Let's take a look at what India is doing with the Maldives now. Now, ever since President Soleh had taken office, India has revitalized its relationship with the Maldives, and there have been 8 agreements and MOUs which have been signed in new areas of cooperation. A financial aid package of $1.4 billion was announced, and budgetary support, it's part of that, investment in treasury bills, currency swap, all these are part of the economic package. A new line of credit for $800 million also given to the Maldives. There's going to be an international cricket stadium that's going to be built in the Maldives, and there's going to be an expansion of the airport as well as the port in Maldives. So let's take a look at what India has been doing with regard to Sri Lanka. Development assistance has exceeded $3.45 billion, and $560 million is in grant assistance to Sri Lanka. We all remember the Indian Housing Project to build 50,000 houses, and more than 48,600 houses have already been built so far. Also, there's been a lot of work with regard to connectivity, restoring railway lines damaged by the 2004 tsunami. There's been a reconnecting of the northern region with the rest of Sri Lanka. Railway signaling systems have been put in place, supplying rolling stock. All this has been done. And, with regard to COVID-19 and the current pandemic, India has assisted all these 3 countries with medical consignments. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss India's SAGAR initiative with a few guests. Stay with us.
क्यों बहनों, मिल गई ना खबर कैंप की? हाँ
आशा, तू तो वहाँ मेरी नजर का इलाज करवा।
नजर ही नहीं चाची, नाक, कान, त्वचा, शुगर, बीपी या कोई यौन रोग हो, सेहत और इलाज की मुफ्त सुविधा अब हमारे घर पर ही आ गई है।
कैंप की अधिक जानकारी शहरी स्वास्थ्य केंद्र से या अपनी बस्ती की आशा से प्राप्त कीजिए।
स्वस्थ बने जीवन, हर बस्ती, हर आंगन।
राष्ट्रीय शहरी स्वास्थ्य मिशन हरियाणा।
बरसात में कई स्थानों पर लैंडस्लाइड के कारण जान माल का काफी नुकसान हुआ है।
बरसात के मौसम में लैंडस्लाइड जरूर होता है क्या?
पहाड़ों पर मिट्टी की मजबूत पकड़ नहीं होने से ही ना बारिश में लैंडस्लाइड का खतरा बढ़ता है।
तो इसमें गलती किसकी है काका?
हमारी।
हमारी गलती कैसे?
जैसे पेड़ ना लगाना और पेड़ों की कटाई, गलत खेती करना, लापरवाही से कूड़ा करकट फेंक देना जिससे पानी की निकासी का रुक जाना, ऐसी गलतियाँ कभी नहीं करो
और लैंडस्लाइड से बचो।
बिल्कुल,
आपके हित में तत्पर एनडीए में।
So that brings us to In Focus tonight here on Newsnight, and In Focus is this. India's SAGAR initiative is in focus tonight. Joining us for a discussion is G. Parthasarathy, former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan and well-known strategic affairs expert, is joining us, and Vice Admiral retired Shekhar Sinha, former Chief of the Integrated Defence Staff, is also with us. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll start with you, Ambassador Parthasarathy. India's development cooperation is marked by the core values of respect, diversity, care for the future and sustainable development. That's what the Prime Minister said. This is what a responsible power would do, isn't it, in the Indian Ocean region? Put that into context for us, sir.
Well, let me put it this way. There is certainly the fact that a huge portion of the world's oil supplies goes through the Indian Ocean.
Yes.
From the Straits of Hormuz. So I think ensuring the security of those oil supplies is really for the prosperity of this entire region. Now, the region is also marked by a large number of rivalries, instability, say, caused between Iran and its Arab neighbors like Saudi Arabia. There have been problems in Yemen. So all this is taking place around that region. And the most interesting part of it is the move in of the Chinese. The Chinese are developing facilities all around. They have a facility in a naval base at Djibouti, and they are trying to take control largely in strategic terms of this region.
Okay.
Obviously, that has its serious implications for us, and therefore we are developing a strategy in cooperation mostly with the littoral countries
Yes.
to see that this remains a zone of peace, a zone for cooperation. But at the same time, we are also, for the first time, bringing in a more structured thing with the what we call as the Quad.
Yes, indeed.
Which is really the United States, Australia, Japan, and India.
Yes, indeed.
We will now be cooperating to ensure that the security of the sea lanes. That is the effort. But I think more importantly, in my view, we should bring in important regional powers in the Indian Ocean and the Straits of Malacca. And
Okay.
by that I mean Vietnam and Indonesia.
All
So I
right.
think we are moving in that direction.
We seem to, yes,
So
indeed.
that the oil supplies of the world are properly guarded, and that no external powers sorts of dominates this. The Chinese have got a base in, as I said, Djibouti. They are working with the Iranians, and most important, they have access at the Pakistani port of Gwadar. These are, and Pakistan, China is now supplying a huge amount of naval equipment to Pakistan,
Okay.
including submarines and frigates. So I think we will be working in cooperation. We want the sea lanes to be protected. More important,
Exactly.
this is the Hind Mahasagar. Everybody calls it the Indian Ocean.
Ocean,
and it
yes,
is
the Hind Mahasagar.
India is at the middle of it. Yes, I mean Hind
Right.
Mahasagar. Yes.
Fair enough.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Admiral.
but that's about it. So I think
Right.
this is the most crucial security problem we have,
Okay.
issue we have to ensure this sea lanes, their security. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of it. The Navy
Okay.
is now getting active in the Andaman and Nicobars. I think that needs redevelopment.
Indeed.
But the Navy and our maritime forces are going to come more into focus. Because
Let's bring in a naval perspective with Admiral Shekhar Sinha. Admiral Sinha, the maritime capability perspective plan had seen, the Navy have about 200 vessels by 2027. How important is the naval presence in the Indian Ocean region? As Ambassador Parthasarathy was saying, that we have been developing also our presence in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands.
Thank you for getting me on this program.
Yes.
In addition to what Ambassador Parthasarathy said, there are sea lanes of communication which run from South America towards Sri Lanka and into Malacca Strait. Similarly, there are sea lanes of communication running from Africa, coming up to Sri Lanka and off to Malacca. As you know that even the South American countries, particularly Venezuela, and in the African continent, there are countries who supply a lot of oil to all over the world, specifically China. What is less known is that 58% of China's copper requirement is met from South America, from Peru and Chile. And all that is, traversing on the Indian Ocean. So it is for us to make sure that sea lanes of communication are guarded. And Mauritius is a very important part. We have had a very good relation with Mauritius historically, and particularly the Navy. We have been assisting them in their EEZA patrolling. We have been, the first ship exported from India to any country is that from GRSC to Mauritius. As the ambassador said, Chinese are trying very hard.
Yes.
It is one of their strategy that they get the neighbors of India in their clutches by the what is called the economic coercion. So you can see that in Sri Lanka, you see this in Maldives. After the change of government, there has been a big change in Maldives, President Soli's government. So therefore, there is a time has come for India, and the Mauritius projects have been completed very quickly, which is
Indeed,
very
yes.
unlike the other projects.
Yes.
That is one. Another very important place going to be is the port of Gwadar, which is run by, given to Pakistan, but the operations are with the Chinese. Recently, there is an agreement likely to be signed between Iran and China, as the ambassador mentioned. The important part that I see is that, Bandar is Zask. There is a port called Zask which has to be developed and run by the Chinese for 30 years. So I guess that the Chinese are getting a sense that maybe Pakistan, in case they falter because of problems in Balochistan, if they falter on Gwadar, an alternate is Zask, which is right on top of the narrowest part of the Straits of Hormuz. So I think all in all, there is a strategy of our adversaries in collusion with Pakistan, and we have to make sure that what we are doing now, we should continue to do and do even more.
Ambassador Parthasarathy, well, it's pretty clear that the Chinese ambitions are not limited to land, and obviously the sea routes are very important to them. Also because of they claim it's basically to improve their trade routes and for commercial interests and all those other things, for resources, for markets, directions all the way right up to Africa. But how does the Sagar initiative come in the way of this ambition, or in a sense create an atmosphere where a rules-based protocol will prevail?
Look, that is the ideal world.
Okay.
The Chinese are violating the UN Convention on the Law of the Seas right across the Pacific Ocean with all its neighbors. I mean, you may start with Japan, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, everybody. They've got disputes. They're disputing the land border, their maritime boundaries. And in every case, they are violating the law of the seas. This is why the Quad becomes important.
Yes.
You cannot allow China to dominate the what we call as the Indo-Pacific region.
Yes,
Don't forget that a fairly large proportion of our trade goes to the west coast of the United States, and very large markets which we have developed, notably Japan and South Korea. And now it's going to be Vietnam. So as I said, we've got the Quad, but it is extremely important that maritime cooperation we develop with these neighbors with whom China has differences. Now, right next door to us, China is looking for a base at Chok Phu, a port in Myanmar. And Myanmar is resisting, and I think the Admiral will tell you that we've done well, and we'll be providing Myanmar one of our refurbished submarines, which is something I know, having been ambassador there. They never even dreamt they would be having. So I think the idea is to give them a sense of pride in joining us.
Okay.
And as I see it, as long as we have the Vietnamese, the Indonesians, and Myanmar on our side, those sea lanes are safe.
All right.
And certainly the Quad will do a lot.
Fair enough.
Let's concerned on the Straits of Malacca.
Ambassador, Admiral Sinha, about the Quad. Now we can see that the US, Japan are involved with India in Malabar exercises. We hope that Australia too will join. That will be the whole Quad. But as Ambassador Parthasarathy was pointing out, Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, Australia, these are also countries that are actually involved with India in naval exercises to some extent. So all this. Is this mere symbolism, or how does this play out in the Indian Ocean?
Well, it might look like a symbolism now, but it is going to play out. If you recall, there was a meeting of Quad Plus, and we had number of these countries. So therefore, the plan is very much on the cards. Malabar exercise, there are all likelihood that Australia would be invited this year by the Indian Navy. So that will make the Quad. But subsequently, I don't think this Quad, my sense is that Quad will not remain a four-nation stuff. It might become Quad Plus. I would think that France, Singapore, and as Ambassador said, Vietnam and Indonesia, and possibly Philippines. Because if you seen recent news there from Philippines, they had stopped allowing the Americans to come and make a base there. And they have cancelled that order. And they have permitted the American ships to come there and operate out of their ports, the warships. So I think, there is all in all, there is some kind of cooperation amongst all these people. If they find that there is a navy consisting of US, India, Japan and Australia, they get a lot of, what is called the confidence.
Yes.
And therefore, all these fellows will come and join. France is a very big navy and it's got an interest in the Indian Ocean. They've got some of their islands in the southern Indian Ocean. So I think this is one of the reasons why Mauritius is also becoming very important. Because we may have to operate and see the sea lanes of communication emanating out of South America and those from Africa. And, the straits in the Madagascar, all these are very important. And with those countries, the Indian government is doing a lot. Our foreign policy has really been very good, and our diplomats have been very hyperactive in making sure that whatever we lacked in the past, let's get to some speed before China and Pakistan jointly become a nuisance to this whole world.
All right. And to what extent, Ambassador Parthasarathy, does our military, or let's say our strategic cooperation, help with our development assistance and our development cooperation? Because, we started the program by talking about development cooperation, and the Prime Minister is saying that it's really based on respect for our partners. We seek nothing from them. We are, the central motivation is sharing our development ideas and development agenda.
Look, it's really, take for example, Myanmar, which is which has a 1640 kilometer land boundary with us. It also has a long boundary with China. Now, China gives them much more assistance than we do, but we do not interfere in their internal affairs.
Yes.
China is in fact fostering insurgencies by tribes in Myanmar against the central government and using that as leverage to secure influence and take control of their mines and so on, especially for precious metals and diamonds and rubies in Myanmar. So China has this quality of or sort of quest for resources.
Yes.
It's obsessed with resources. And this is something we need to play an advantage to, because we cooperate, we share, we have joint ventures, but we are not aggressively looking for the natural resources of the others. And that is a quality which is appreciated. But coming back to what I said, in this neighborhood, I would see after this submarine supply goes through to with Myanmar, we build up that entire East Coast region. Another point I want to mention is, regionally we are member of the BIMSTEC grouping, which includes all the Bay of Bengal states,
countries,
plus Nepal and Bhutan, because they're landlocked states dependent on the Bay of Bengal. Now, I think we have activated that in the past, and I attended one of the meetings which was organized by our government with the army chiefs of these countries. I think the Admiral will be better positioned, but I think we should get the naval chiefs together and talk on common maritime terms, linking BIMSTEC together as a regional grouping. After all, it is the Bay of Bengal Association for security on the Bay of Bengal. Last point.
Yes.
We have settled our maritime boundaries with everybody.
Okay.
China is fighting with everybody for maritime space, trying to grab territories from the other. And that's where all these organizations, BIMSTEC, Quad, all will come into play, because China may have much greater resources and naval power.
Yes.
But people don't trust it. It's a question of diplomatic trust and working cooperatively with these states. And I think we've done well. The Navy has done us proud. They hold these, I think that my Admiral will tell you, these Milan exercises with all these countries. The naval get-togethers are very useful. And imagine, it's a question of combining hard and soft power. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
Indeed. So that's the difference, Admiral Sinha, with regard to, let's say, an expansionist power and a responsible power like India. But if we have to focus now on India's infrastructure in the Indian Ocean region, You feel that it's adequate? How much more do we have to build it up? Where would we do that? Would it be in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands? How would you see it?
Ambassador mentioned right in the beginning that Sagar project of Prime Minister Modi, which says security and growth for all in region.
Yes.
So let's remember that development is for growth, and that has to be secured. So it's not that Prime Minister Modi has not said about security. In fact, the first letter in that acronym is security. So unless you secure the trade and growth, it is liable to interception. It's liable to stoppages and restrictions. Free and open sea. That is why we have been saying free and open sea. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, the Sagarmala project, which is going on very rapidly, and it requires a separate talk. Sagarmala will improve the infrastructure of building ports in all over country, minor ports and the major ports, and the roadways inside within the connectivity by the roadways. That is number one for trade. The second point is that as far as Andaman Nicobar is concerned, the development work is already in progress. The Island Development Authority, which was lying dormant for many years, has been activated, and now the Honorable Home Minister, Honorable Defence Minister, Sri Rajnath Singh, when he was Home Minister, he was the chairman. So Home Minister is the ex-officio chairman, and the LG of Andaman Nicobar, he is the deputy chairman. And there is, the container port, the strengthening of runway, extending the runways for taking more fighter aircraft. The PATI is already operating out of the Port Blair airfield and Nicobar airfield, Car Nicobar, during this, the last time that we had the US fleet there. Since then, PATI has been operating, and they have actually been monitoring the traffic, and we have intelligence sharing arrangement with these countries that the ambassador was mentioning about in the port, and their data is passed online. So I think that infrastructure and equipment, interoperability, all these things are a great work in progress. So wonderful. I think that, we are not doing badly at all. Yes, we have to speed up. We have to catch up because time is running out. It's a very short time that we have as far as the maritime infrastructure is concerned. But 7-8 years later, China will be a different country if he is allowed to be as assertive as he is now.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Admiral Sinha and G. Parthasarathy, for being with us and helping us understand the importance of Sagar, which is security and growth for all in the region. Now let's move on to our next story. The number of recoveries from the COVID pandemic in the country has crossed the 1 million mark, and the fatality rate has also continued to fall. It's currently at 2.21%. And these figures clearly indicate, in fact, that the efforts of our doctors and our frontline workers is bearing plenty of fruit. Here's more.
India continues to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to the collective efforts of the state and the centre, the recovery rate is continuously increasing. More than 10,20,000 cured or discharged from hospitals. The fatality rate is 2.21%, while the recovery rate has increased to 64.44%. It was 7.85% in the first week of April. 16 states have recovery rates more than the national average. Delhi has a healthy recovery rate of 88%. Union Science and Technology Minister Dr. Harshvardhan launched a compendium on Thursday on Council for Scientific and Industrial Research Technologies for COVID-19 mitigation. On the occasion, he said that India is currently conducting around 5 lakh COVID-19 tests every day, and the plan is to double the number in the next 1 to 2 months.
5 लाख से ज़्यादा टेस्ट हर रोज़ हम कर रहे हैं भारत के अंदर, और अभी कुछ ही हफ्तों के अंदर अगले 1-2 महीने के अंदर इस कैपेसिटी को 10 लाख तक लेकर जाने की हमारी योजना है.
Dr. Harshvardhan also hailed the scientific community for fighting alongside the medical community in the battle against the virus. He said that the first COVID-19 case in India was detected on the 30th of January, and it has been 6 months since then, but the fight against the virus is still on. He stressed that despite the vastness of the country and its population, the war against the virus has been successfully taken up in every corner. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry has commended the way Corona warriors have put in efforts in the fight against COVID-19.
10,20,000 से अधिक पेशेंट्स रिकवर हो गए हैं, भले चंगे हो गए हैं, अपने अपने घरों पर चले गए हैं। ये न केवल एक बहुत बड़ी सकारात्मक खबर है, बल्कि ये एक बड़ी उपलब्धि भी है। This landmark recovery has been achieved because of the selfless work and dedication and commitment to duty shown by our doctors, our nurses, our frontline Medicare workers. In fact, I think this is the occasion when we must stand up and applaud their contribution. They have done excellent work. 1 million recoveries.
Globally, 3 vaccines have entered the crucial phase 3 trials. 1 candidate each from the US, the UK and China are in advanced stages of trials. In India, 2 vaccine candidates have entered phase 1 and phase 2 of human trials. The centre said that India will play a pivotal role in the mass production of the vaccine.
जब भी कोई वैक्सीन डेवलप होती है, चाहे भारत के भीतर या भारत के बाहर, क्योंकि वैक्सीन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का एक बहुत बड़ा हब भारत है, तो भारत की एक बहुत बड़ी भूमिका वैक्सीन के मैन्युफैक्चर में रहेगी, चाहे वो स्वदेशी वैक्सीन हो या विदेशी वैक्सीन हो।
Earlier, the Home Ministry had released Unlock 3 guidelines on Wednesday, ending the night curfew and announcing its intent to allow the opening of gyms and yoga centres from the 5th of August. Metro services, cinema halls, schools and colleges will remain closed.
Unlock 3 guidelines of MHA, among the activities which will be permitted from 5th of August, gym and yoga are activities which will be permitted. The Health Ministry is working on devising these SOPs, and these SOPs will be issued adequately in advance before 5th of August.
Meanwhile, the All India Institute of Ayurveda has started providing free testing and treatment to patients in its COVID-19 health centre. Ayush Minister Shripad Yesso Naik visited the centre on the 28th of July to review the arrangements for treatment of COVID-19 patients. During the visit, the minister announced that CHC will provide free testing and treatment facilities to all patients. The Tamil Nadu government on Thursday announced the extension of coronavirus-induced lockdown in the state to the 31st of August, but with more relaxations, including scaling up workforce in private establishments and allowing dine-in services in hotels and restaurants. Sunday lockdowns will continue in the month of August. In Madhya Pradesh, the state government has slapped a fine on MLAs for not wearing masks and has asked all ministers to cancel any tours till the 14th of August. In Karnataka, as many as 40 students who tested positive for coronavirus are among 1.94 lakh students appearing for the Karnataka Common Entrance Test, which began on Thursday. Elaborate arrangements have been made for COVID-19 infected persons to appear for the exams. They were brought to the examination centres and dropped back to their respective places in the state government's ambulance. In Bihar, Patna Junction has been converted into a mini COVID hospital. 40 rail coaches have been kept ready for treatment of patients at the makeshift hospital. With Nitendra Singh in Delhi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Japan has indicated that the current coronavirus situation in the country does not require a return to a state of emergency, according to the government's top spokesperson. Asked about the record number of cases from a day earlier exceeding 1,000 for the first time, the Chief Cabinet Secretary repeated that the current situation did not warrant a state of emergency, which would restrict economic activity. According to public broadcaster NHK, Japan saw a record increase of 1,264 confirmed COVID-19 cases on Wednesday alone. Australia recorded its deadliest day in the coronavirus pandemic on Thursday with at least 13 deaths and more than 700 new infections, mainly in Victoria State, where the government ordered all residents to wear face coverings outside. Aged care centres and homes at the centre of Victoria's outbreak, with in fact 913 active COVID-19 cases linked to these homes, the home for the aged, including workers, and the federal government has sent 1,400 military personnel and 5 emergency teams to Melbourne to help deal with the aged care issues, including contact tracing. Gazans are thronging beaches and crowding markets filled with holiday sweets and clothes as they prepare to celebrate Eid, largely free of the coronavirus restrictions affecting the Muslim festival elsewhere. But the relaxed attitude contrasts with a lack of money in the beleaguered Gaza Strip, which has been largely closed off from the world for years by an Israeli-led blockade, and also could yet be badly affected if the virus struck. So no cases have been recorded, in fact, in towns and refugee camps where its 2 million Palestinian populations live. Although 75 infections and 1 death was recorded in a quarantine center. The world number 1, Ash Barty, has said that she will skip the US Open and the tournament preceding it in New York due to concerns over the coronavirus pandemic. The Western and Southern Open, which is held annually in Cincinnati, has been moved to New York this year and is set to start in mid-August. The US Open kicks off on August 31 and will be held in its usual home at Flushing Meadow, Queens, but will be played without fans in attendance to limit the spread of the virus. India has rejected the Chinese claim that the frontline troops of China and India have completed disengagement at most locations of the border. Now, the Ministry of External Affairs has made it clear that the disengagement process is not yet complete. The MEA spokesperson, Anurag Srivastav, said in a regular press briefing that the agreement between the special representatives from China and India on the 5th of July should be followed, and that India expects China to work for complete disengagement.
The disengagement process has as yet not been completed. The senior commanders of the two sides will be meeting in the near future to work out steps in this regard. As we stated earlier, the maintenance of peace and tranquility in the border areas is the basis of our bilateral relationship. Therefore, we expect that the Chinese side will sincerely work with us for complete disengagement and de-escalation and full restoration of peace and tranquility in the border areas at the earliest, as agreed by the two special representatives.
The MEA has also said that Pakistan has been exposed in the Kulbhushan Jadhav case. India reiterated its commitment to protect Jadhav and said that Pakistan's actions have exposed its farcical nature.
Pakistan has blocked India's attempts to seek remedies. I had also brought out how Pakistan is in violation of the ICJ judgment as well as their own ordinance. I had described how they have not provided unhindered, unimpeded and unconditional access to Shri Kulbhushan Jadhav, how they have not provided documents requested by us, their actions with regard to the ordinance, all of which expose the farcical nature of their entire approach to this. We reserve our position in this matter, and which includes the right to avail of further remedies. And I'll also reiterate that we stand committed to protect the life of our national, Shri Kulbhushan Jadhav.
The Uttarakhand Tourism Minister Satpal Maharaj met the Union Tourism Minister Prahalad Patel in New Delhi, and they discussed the all-round development of tourism in Uttarakhand. Speaking exclusively to DD News, they said that special attention would be given to social distancing, masks and sanitizers with regard to the Chardham Yatra.
कोरोना के संक्रमण से जो हमारी यात्रा बाधित हुई है और जो संक्रमण फैला है उसको हमें रोकना है और इस यात्रा को सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग के साथ और मास्क लगाने के साथ साथ सैनिटाइजेशन के साथ साथ इसको संचालित करना है। कोविड टेस्ट कराना होगा यात्री को जो बाहर से जा रहा है। जब वो कोविड नेगेटिव होगा तभी वो यात्रा कर पाएगा। हम नहीं चाहते कि हमारे पहाड़ों के अंदर जाकर के ढाबे के अंदर किसी दुकान के अंदर संक्रमण फैले, तो इसके एहतियातन बरते गए हैं। पर हम ये चाहते हैं कि धीरे धीरे यात्रा हमारी चलेगी, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग उसमें होगा तो यात्रा का प्रचार प्रसार भी होगा और यात्रा बढ़ेगी और यही हमारी लाइफ लाइन है।
The chairman of CII Education Council, Dr. BVR Mohan Reddy, congratulated the HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank on the National Education Policy 2020 and welcomed it as new and a bold decision of the centre. He said that large-scale transformational reforms in school and higher education is the need of the hour.
Congratulations, Honorable Minister Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank ji for the new education policy. A watershed moment for Indian education, large-scale transformational reforms in school and higher education is the need of the hour. Multidisciplinary courses, multiple entry and exit points, LASE curriculum, credit transfer, flexible learning augur well to make technical education more holistic. I welcome the new and bold initiatives.
Chris Gopalakrishnan, the chairman of CII Startup Council, also welcomed the new education policy and said that the new features in the policy will enhance education.
There are many features that are unique and innovative, but the two things I would like to highlight are one, the focus on research through the National Research Foundation, and second, the focus on research by even introducing this in the 4th year of the undergraduate program. So all in all, I welcome the policy and look forward to how it's getting rolled out.
The 5th phase of the Vande Bharat mission to bring back stranded Indians from other nations will commence on the 1st of August. During the 5th phase, flights to India will commence from the United States, Canada, Qatar, Oman, UAE, Singapore, England, Saudi Arabia, France, New Zealand, Bahrain, the Philippines and Germany. More than 900 flights may be operated in this phase. And speaking exclusively to DD News' correspondent Ajay Mishra, here's the minister.
6 मई को जब हमने इसकी शुरुआत की, पहले फेज़ में पहले हफ्ते में जब हुआ, तो जहाँ तक मुझे याद है कुल मिला के हम 12,600 लोग हम वापस ला पाए पहले में। आज इसका जो आंकड़ा मैं आपको जब बताऊंगा तो आप इम्प्रेस होंगे, 8,45,000, जिसमें से एयर इंडिया और एयर इंडिया एक्सप्रेस ने करीब उनके बीच में 2.5 लाख से अधिक लोगों को लाया है। मुझे उम्मीद है कि फेज़ 5 में 900 से अधिक फ्लाइट्स होंगी, हो सकता है कि 1200 भी हों।
Meanwhile, the government is confident that the proposals will come for the disinvestment process of Air India.
हमने नोटिफिकेशन देखा कि अब 100% FDI खोल दिया गया है NRIs के लिए। आप कितना उम्मीद रखते हैं आपको कि वाकई कोई बिडर आएगा?
100% बिडर आएगा। देखो, एयर इंडिया अच्छा एसेट है, इट्स अ फर्स्ट रेट एसेट, इट हैज़ वेरी गुड cabin crew, pilots, engineering staff, it has a reputation, और इनके पास इंटरनेशनल स्लॉट्स हैं।
डेट कंसर्न्स को लेकर के क्या होगा सर? जो एयर इंडिया का डेट है उसको लेकर के
हम उसको कर रहे हैं। वी हैव एन alternate mechanism. So some of this debt has been retired, some more will be retired, and we want to, privatize it, divest it as a growing and an attractive concern.
Well, poachers seem to be making the most of the flood and the COVID-19 crisis in Assam, even as the authorities scramble to contain the pandemic and provide relief to those affected by the deluge. The poachers are even more active. The Kachar Forest Division, Silchar, recently seized exotic wildlife species. The forest authorities have disclosed that a truck coming in from Mizoram side was intercepted, and a kangaroo, 6 macaw parrots, 3 tortoises, 2 monkeys were rescued. According to exclusive information accessed by DD India correspondent Dwina Bharuba, two persons in fact, Narasimha Reddy and Navnath Tukaram Daigude, have been detained. In the course of the interrogation, they revealed to the forest personnel that the consignment was headed to Guwahati. The DFO has directed the investigating forest official to ascertain the health of the wildlife by local veterinary doctors.
कछार फॉरेस्ट डिवीजन ने एक ट्रक को पकड़ा और इन्होंने देखा कि उस ट्रक में काफ़ी कार्टून थे, 8-9 कार्टून थे, उसमें बहुत एक्सोटिक स्पीशीज और वाइल्ड लाइफ उसके अंदर था, जिसमें कि हमें एक रेड कैंगारू और तीन पेयर यानी 6 हाइसेंट मैकॉ, अल्लाब्रा टोर्टवाइज वो 3 मिले और कैपुचिन मंकी 2 मिले हैं और हमने 2 लोगों को भी डिटेन किया, ट्रक डिटेन किया, उनसे पूछताछ चल रही है। उनके पूछताछ से ये पता चला है कि उन लोग जो है मिजोरम से ये सब चीज़ एक्जॉटिक वाइल्ड लाइफ को लाए थे और गुवाहाटी में इनसे कोई कंसाइनमेंट लेने वाला था।
Well, it's going to be a year since the passage of the historic Triple Talaq Bill in Parliament, and on the momentous occasion, the Union Minority Affairs Minister is celebrating 31st July and 1st August as Muslim Women Rights Day. On the occasion, the Union Minister, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, in an exclusive conversation with DD News, said that there has been a significant decline of 82% cases related to Triple Talaq after the law stopping the practice was enacted a year ago.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की समावेशी सुधार की सोच का नतीजा है कि 3 तलाक अपराध बना। इन 1 सालों में जिस तरह से 3 तलाक की कुरीति, कुप्रथा, क्राइम बहुत ही ड्रास्टिक तरीके से कम हुए हैं। लगभग 82% से ज़्यादा ऐसी घटनाओं पर रुकी हैं। लोगों में जागरूकता भी आई है, समाज में भी जागरूकता आई है। केवल न मुस्लिम महिलाएं बल्कि सभी महिलाएं इसको मुस्लिम महिला अधिकार दिवस के रूप में मना रही हैं। वो महिलाएं जो सामाजिक और संवैधानिक अधिकारों की पक्षधर हैं, स्वतंत्रता की पक्षधर हैं, जो हमारे समानता के अधिकार हैं उसके पक्षधर हैं, और बहुत अच्छी तरह से हो रहा है। 31 और 1 दोनों दिन होगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a tweet has condoled the death of Ren Sonam Shering Lepcha. The Prime Minister tweeted saying that Padma Shri Ren Sonam Shering Lepcha ji was a multifaceted personality. He made outstanding efforts to popularize the great Lepcha culture. His works are respected across generations. Anguished by his demise, condolences to his family and admirers. Om Shanti. Ladakh shall soon have its first central university. Prime Minister Modi has approved Ladakh's first central university, which would include a center for Buddhist studies. The university is to be named the Ladakh Central University and will offer degrees in all courses including liberal arts and basic science. The news has brought smiles on the faces of Ladakhis. Our correspondent Vishal Barristow has more.
It's great news for the people of Ladakh as the Union Territory shall soon have its first central university. The news has been received very well at the Central Institute of Buddhist Studies that has been functioning for many decades in Leh. According to its director, the Central University has provided new horizons for students of Buddhist studies from across the world, be it America, Europe or Southeast Asia.
पहले तो मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी और केंद्रीय सरकार को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं कि आपने लद्दाखियों को इतना सुविधा दे रहा है। बाहर से भी कुछ यूरोपियन जो कंट्री से कुछ लोग बुद्धिज्म को पढ़ने के लिए यहाँ आना चाहते हैं, और जो साउथ एशियन जो कंट्रीज जो है बुद्धिस्ट कंट्रीज जो है वहाँ से लोग यहाँ पढ़ने के लिए आने के लिए तैयार है। तो इन सब के लिए हमें बहुत अच्छी तरह हम काम कर सकते हैं।
Those teaching at the Central Institute of Buddhist Studies feel that the newly proposed Central University shall open new avenues in the field of higher education, as around 10,000 students would benefit out of it. The university would also cater to the students of Lahaul and Spiti districts in Himachal Pradesh.
जी ये खुशी की बात है क्योंकि इससे 2-3 साल पहले कि हम देख ले तो लद्दाख में कोई भी यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं था, परंतु मेरा सुझाव तो यह होगा कि नया देने से पहले जो यहाँ पर एग्जिस्टिंग जो यूनिवर्सिटीज़ है उनको थोड़ा क्या कहते हैं फाइनेंशियली हो या जिस भी तरीके से भी हो उसको बढ़ावा दिया जाए।
The joy of having the first central university in Ladakh is quite evident on the face of Dolma, who has just completed her masters in Buddhist studies. Dolma says that with the central university, students from Ladakh would not need to travel to other states for their higher studies.
मैं जो है इसी इंस्टीट्यूट का स्टूडेंट रही हूँ और हाल ही में मैंने बौद्ध दर्शन में अपनी आचार्य की है। तो जब मैंने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जब घोषित किया कि लद्दाख को सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी दिया जाएगा तो ये बहुत खुशी की बात है, न केवल मेरे लिए सारे लद्दाख वासियों के लिए।
The Central University gift by Prime Minister to Ladakh is definitely a great news, not only for the students but also for the teachers. Certainly a big news for all those students who had to travel outside to pursue their career. With cameraman Sanjay Jaina, this is Vishal Beristo, DD News, Leh.
And next story, the government of Jammu and Kashmir issued the much-awaited formal notification providing reservation to persons residing in areas adjoining the international border in direct recruitment, professional institutions and postgraduate courses. Now, as per the notification issued by the Social Welfare Department, the government of Jammu and Kashmir, 508 villages situated within the distance of 0 to 6 kilometers from the IB, the international border, have been declared as areas adjoining the international border which are eligible for the reservation benefits. Here's more on this report.
Festive atmosphere surrounds border area as nearly 508 villages of Jammu and Kashmir have benefited with reservation in jobs and higher education. These villages along the international border with Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir will get the benefits of reservation in government jobs, admissions in professional institutions. Meanwhile, Social Welfare Department of the Union Territory has notified that people living within the distance of 0 to 6 kilometers of international border will be able to avail the reservation benefits. Hence, this amendment in Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Act 2005 has resulted in fulfilling the demands of people living on these border areas.
यहाँ पे जो मतलब कि जॉबलेस पीपल ज़्यादा हो रहे थे, इसकी वजह से तो शायद 4% रिजर्वेशन की वजह से कुछ ना कुछ तो फ़ायदा होगा यहाँ के यूथ को. तो देखो अब ऑलमोस्ट सारे यूथ हैप्पी है कि अच्छा हो रहा हमारे साथ कि एटलीस्ट बॉर्डर के लोगों के लिए 4% एक्स्ट्रा रिजर्वेशन है.
यहाँ के जो लोग हैं, यहाँ के जो यूथ हैं, यहाँ के जो बच्चे हैं, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं बॉर्डर एरिया के लोग होने की वजह से सफ़र करते आते थे. उनकी पढ़ाई पीछे रह जाती थी. इसी का रिजल्ट वो अच्छे मार्क्स नहीं ले पाते थे और जब जॉब प्लेसमेंट या नौकरियों की बात आती थी तो उनको नौकरियां नहीं मिल पाती थी और वो पिछड़े रह जाते थे. जो नॉर्मल एरियाज़ के लोग हैं उनसे कम्पीट करना बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल हो जाता था. बट अब जो ये रिजर्वेशन केंद्र सरकार ने दी है 4% बॉर्डर की IB की, तो इससे लोगों को काफ़ी राहत मिली है.
Since India achieved independence, troubles on the outskirts of the border area started increasing. For years, neighboring country had been adamant in continuing shelling in these villages situated along the international border. It has resorted to conspiracy to continue shelling in the border areas, and these continuous attempts have impacted the daily lives of people living in these areas, as they have been victims of this since years. While the two countries have signed a ceasefire agreement, the agreement each time is broken by Pakistan in its attempt to infiltrate. Thus, during these critical times, various educational institutions from school to colleges are forced to remain shut.
हम बॉर्डर के लोग जो हैं, इनके लिए बहुत दिनों से ये मांग थी कि हमारा बच्चे जो है डिस्टर्ब एरिया है, ये पूरा जो हमारा जो भी IB है, इस पे हर दिन कभी ना कभी कोई ना कोई समस्या रहती है. उस समस्या के रहते हुए भी हमारे बच्चे जो हैं पूरे तरीके से पढ़ नहीं पा रहे हैं. हम सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का धन्यवाद करते हैं कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने जो हमें 4% कोटा दिया है, हमें आस करते हैं कि इससे हमें हमारे बच्चों को कुछ ना कुछ फ़ायदा होगा.
Since the last 6 months, defying every condition under the agreement, Pakistan violated ceasefire along the border areas at least 2,500 times. These ceasefire violations have resulted in death of at least 28 people and also severely injuring lot many. But now, with government announcing reservation benefits for people living in these villages, it has proven to be a ray of hope for such people. Now the dreams of these children will also come true. In this era, countless stories of change are being written in the villages of Jammu and Kashmir. Neeraj Singh's report from Jammu, DD India.
And with these special reports, we conclude News Night for tonight. Thanks very much for being with us. Namaskar.